Hello, my name is Rimu, and this is going to be my first mouse review, so I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm going to try my hardest to make this as good as I can. For my first mouse review, I'm reviewing the Arbiter X Vancer Akitsu, which is a 38-gram carbon fiber composite gaming mouse. The packaging is quite nice, and it keeps the carbon fiber aesthetic throughout the unboxing experience, which can be observed on the box once removed from its sleeve. Upon opening the box, you'll find the mouse and all the other contents neatly tucked inside. Unboxing this mouse has been one of my favorite peripheral unboxing experiences, and you can tell that a lot of effort was put into the creation of this product. The holes in the shell of this mouse are hexagonal, and the pattern ends right before the scroll wheel, like many other mice. The patterns on both sides are also hexagonal, but the top and bottom sides are elongated, making them more of a squished hexagon. Akitsu means dragonfly in Old Japanese, and the sensor is located right where the dragonfly's body would be. On the bottom of the mouse, where the DPI and polling rate buttons are located, there are two thin carbon fiber panels protecting them and the electronics inside. Inside the box, we also get a postcard-like manual, where it shows what the buttons are, what they do, and that's practically it. Nonetheless, it's still pretty nice to have, and it's pretty and has a flower and a dragonfly on it, so pretty nice to keep, I guess. Beneath the foam that the mouse was held in are 4 pieces of grip tape, 1 piece for each side, and 1 for the left and right mouse buttons. Underneath the grip tape is the LCD dongle, which I really enjoy with this mouse because it shows the battery percentage, what polling rate you're using, what DPI you're using, and any other information you would need to know about the mouse right on board. The mouse also comes with a very nicely crafted braided cable, which is very flexible and seems quite sturdy. However, I'm not using it because I'm too lazy to crawl under my desk and redo all my cable management, so I'm still using the cable that came with my Beast X because it's also a USB-C and it works the same. Upon unboxing the mouse, the sides had no visible flex or audible creaking. However, this quickly changed within the next few days of using the mouse. I will talk about this more later. The bottom of the mouse did flex immediately. However, nobody's gripping the bottom of their mouse, so I don't see how that would be an issue for anyone. The force needed to actuate the switches seemed pretty consistent throughout the left and right buttons, pretty stable with little to no side-to-side wiggle, and there's virtually none for the side buttons. Literally none. As for pre and post travel, there is none on any of the buttons except for the left and right mouse buttons where there's just a little bit of post travel. There is none for the side buttons, and there's no wiggle at all on the scroll wheel. However, the scroll wheel is very heavy and it requires a lot of force to press. But it most definitely has loosened up with time, and I've heard that it is much better than the first batch. Overall, the mouse seems very sturdy, and I think it will last me quite a while. Regardless, I will be maining it for a bit because I haven't had any other mice to try in quite a long time. So, the Arbiter Studios Akitsu will be my main mouse until I either get a new mouse or this one fails. With all of this being said, it is time for the sound test.
Kill remaining. Last kill.
Oh,
So what I don't like about my first part of this video is that I kind of just glazed the mouse. I didn't talk about real pros and cons. I just glazed it and was blinded by the fact that it's the first mouse I've unboxed or taken out in a year besides my B-Stacks. So I'm going to go a little deeper into the real specifics and the pros and cons of this mouse. The stock skates it came with started to get muddy and feel old very, very quickly, and I haven't even had much time to play video games. I don't think I've opened Kovacs or played Val in a week and a half, so that's not a good sign at all. They started to feel like old Obsidian Pro Airs, which I think a lot of people here know that that's not a very good feeling. It feels like you're fighting against your mousepad. Also, the sides began to creak pretty quickly. I mean, almost instantly in the first day or two of use. And I'll show you guys really quickly what that sounds like right now. The battery life does not last very long. I've counted that on 8K. It lasts maybe half of a day. I have to stop playing and charge it in just a few hour session. 4K is fine, that can last a day or two, but the difference between the 4K and the 8K is massive, and the battery drains itself very quickly. However, I've had no issues with the sensor. It feels like it's integrated pretty well. I've never had any sensor skips. There's no stutters. It feels very nice. One thing I really like about the shape of this mouse is that the sides are less flared than a lot of other mice I've tried. They feel pretty flattened, but they also have a nice enough curve that it doesn't really strain your fingers. The hexagonal pattern on the side, being a little more squished and elongated, helps a lot because when your fingers are resting on them, they don't really get caught in the holes or really irritate them at all. You honestly can forget that your fingers are even on holes, unlike the B-Stacks here, because those straight up gave my hands blisters from getting stuck inside the holes all day. No hate towards the mouse, I love that thing. I've used it for an entire year and there wasn't a single issue with it besides occasional double clicking. I kept having to raise the debounce time the more I used it. As far as the pulling rate goes, it seems to be pretty accurate. The 8K has been 8K in almost every test I've done. However, I don't know if this is an accurate or credible test because I don't really know much about this. This is my first mouse review, but I've been using this, which a few people have recommended. However, if I'm doing this incorrectly, and this is not a good test, please let me know so I'm not doing this incorrectly for any future mouse videos, please. So how I'm going to do this test is I'm going to start at 1,000 pulling rate, see if it hits that mark consistently, and if it does, I'm going to move it up to the next level until we get to 8,000 and see if it can hit that pulling rate consistently. 1,000 pulling rate. Hits it instantly. 2,000 pulling rate. Hits that mark pretty easily. 4,000 pulling rate. Also hits that mark consistently and immediately. And 8,000. Yeah, I would consider that hitting 8,000. Let's do it for a few more seconds. Yeah, that's 8,000 in my book. I think that passes. Cool. So now let's talk about the web software a little bit. The web software is fine. It has the simple things that you'd want. Has your debounce time, pulling rate on here if you don't want to use buttons on the bottom for, I don't know, whatever reason. Maybe these might not work sometimes and you need to come here to recalibrate it. I'm not too sure, but the options here also. Sleep time, lift off distance, motion sync, ripple control, and angle snapping. It's the basic, simple web software. So it works. And it's really all you need. You can change the RGB for each DPI stage. You can customize what DPI each stage is with the slider and clicking on the DPI stage. You can then assign a color. So when you click the DPI button on the bottom, it flashes that color and you know what DPI you're using if you don't want to look at the LCD screen here. That will tell you also. So the LCD screen is honestly such a godsend for this mouse because it saves you from ever having to open the software unless something goes wrong, and you don't have to worry about what color is what when you click the mouse. So it's very nice. Everything about this is very user friendly, and I don't see anything wrong with it or have any complaints here. In conclusion, is the Arbiter Studios Akitsu worth it? Right now, I would say yes. It's on a sale for $99, and I would honestly buy this immediately. It kind of makes me sad that I bought this when it was $120 on sale, and a week later it goes to $99, but it's okay. I find this mouse worth the money, and I think it's worth picking up. Overall, I'll give this mouse a solid 7 out of 10. The downsides for me are the top of the mouse buttons being too flexible because the material seems honestly to not be that strong, as seen with the side creaking too. And the battery. The battery is fairly small and it needs to be charged pretty often. Well, a little more than pretty often. Multiple times a day if you use 8K. That being said, I like the mouse and I'm going to use it for a while. Well, I hope you liked my first review, and there will be more to come when I get money because I have a crippling peripheral addiction now. Wonderful. Anyways, thank you for watching, and that's all. Goodbye.